This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
With Tony Brueski.
We are talking Alex Murdaugh right now with Alex Faddis. He's a trial lawyer, civil and criminal litigator, and former felony prosecutor. And when it comes to Alex Murdaugh, well, there's a lot of roads we can go down, but right now we've seen more love letters come in, which will probably go on indefinitely. We saw a shirtless Alex Murdaugh looking very comfortable in his cell. We've heard a phone call that wasn't that old, him talking with Buster. Seems very comfortable, very much business as usual. I was kind of surprised by just how, I guess, ruffled he seems to be in prison. He seems to be just very much him from what we've seen and heard before, kind of calm, kind of in his own world. Are you at all surprised by this, what we've witnessed with him in prison thus far?
It is surprising, and in some senses it's not. From what I've seen, I covered this case for Court TV.
Yeah.
Alex Murdaugh, it kind of lives in his own little world, and he's convinced himself that he is righteous and he has done no wrong, and he's sort of in this own little bubble that he has. And I just wonder if he's still potentially in denial about the fact that he's going to spend the rest of his days in prison. His fortune is either gone or is going to be gone. Mm-hmm. He's probably not making too many friends in there. And I'm just wondering if this is sort of some, protective bubble that he's placed around himself. And if reality is going to set in at some point and things will be a lot less charming for him in custody.
Another argument that I heard earlier, I was talking with former FBI agent about this Robin Dreek, and he had an interesting perspective on it, saying maybe he's at peace. Maybe now that he's in jail, he really can't inflict the damage that he'd been doing compulsively for all those years. And now he's been caught. He's there. I wonder if there's some level of, there's nothing more I can do. I'm done. And here I am. And maybe this has found himself peace. And the demons that plagued the way that he was acting, certainly they can be there, but the way that they can inflict damage on others, much more limited now.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a fascinating take.
Yeah.
If we look at his life leading up to these incidents, he had this alleged, vicious drug addiction. He's stealing millions and millions from his own clients. Mm-hmm. And the walls are beginning to kind of close in. There are investigations taking place. And then, of course, with the murder of his family, of which he was convicted, things were getting horribly bad. Yeah. Maybe he is now in a place where he says, gosh, at least all of that nightmare is behind me, and I can sit in here and read my love letters from fans and take selfies.
Yeah, I mean, I really do wonder that. What's your take on the settlement that went to the Beach family? Number one, I want to say I'm happy they did get a settlement. They certainly deserved something for the tragic death of their daughter and the hell that they've been going through. But I do at the same point feel like this, I don't know how much justice was done, or maybe the right party is paying for what his son Paul actually did. Because when you look at the Parker's convenience store now paying between $15 to $20 million to the Beach family for the wrongful death and for them selling alcohol to a minor, they really didn't do anything wrong in terms of process and knowledge that they had of selling alcohol to a minor. They didn't know they were selling alcohol to a minor. Paul came in there with his brother's ID. They look very much alike. They're very well known in the community as well. But if you look at the ID, that's your job. It says he's of age. He's buying the alcohol. There's not a lot more a store can do to ask someone to prove their age other than just refuse the sale altogether. Is it right that almost 100% of this judgment is coming straight from Parker's, and really, Murdaugh's running low on what he can do?
Yeah, there are really some practical considerations at play here in this one. We do wrongful death cases at my firm in Colorado, and so we're no stranger to this kind of thing. What it looked like is they could have gone after the Murdaughs. Of course, Paul Murdaugh seems to be primarily responsible for this horrible tragedy. But it sounds like the Murdaughs may be not collectible in this circumstance. They've got, their fortune is dwindling. They've got all these other people who want pieces of that. And so I get why the plaintiff instead went after the company that has apparently deeper pockets to the tune of $15 to $20 million. But I hear you. Was the convenience store the primary bad actor? No, absolutely not. But did they have a responsibility, and did they have a causal role in how all this played out? I think they absolutely did. And so, I'm happy that the victim's family received a substantial sum of money. That's a pretty large settlement, even for a wrongful death. Yeah. But yeah, does it feel like justice was served completely? No, not to me.
Well, I guess the question would be, what more? I mean, if you're Parker's, and I know it's in their insurance companies, they're the one who said, we're not going to go to court and be connected to Alex Murdaugh. Let's settle this. Optics of it, I think, if it wasn't Alex Murdaugh, I could see them actually going to court and probably winning. But because it was connected to Murdaugh, not so much. If you're being told this, that you did something wrong and you owe this money, what did they do wrong?
Yeah, it's a pretty darn expensive oops.
Yeah,
right?
What do they do? Okay, we did this wrong. How do we do this better, other than checking IDs, which is what they did? What more do you want us to do?
Sure, no, I understand that argument. There are some places that can scan IDs to determine if the ID is valid, but some of these fake IDs will scan and come up as valid.
Well, and it was a real ID. It was his brother's ID, so it was a valid 21-year-old ID. So that wasn't even the thing where they got a fake ID and missed it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What more could they have done? I'm not entirely certain. One thing that appeared to me, at least in my review of some of the video, is that Paul Murdaugh looked pretty schmammered. Yeah. And I think a part of the case was that they still served him or gave him alcohol anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's a piece of it. They could have done a better assessment as to whether the individual requesting alcohol should be given alcohol. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I hear you. It's a little bit difficult in terms of what else they could have done to prevent this.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Brueski.